Arsenal's injury woes at the forward position were already bad, but they have reportedly gotten even worse somehow. According to reports now confirmed by our own CBS Sports correspondent James Bench, Kai Havertz has suffered a torn hamstring that will keep him out for the rest of the season. Havertz now joins a list of injured Arsenal forwards that includes Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Jesus, and Gabriel Martinelli. Woof. Not great, and makes the lack of business in the January window look even worse for this Arsenal side, because, Nico, Arsenal fans, they weren't just saying, hey, for tactical reasons, we need better options in that striker position, a more natural number 9. It was also because they're looking at the injury report, which included all those players except for Kai Havertz, and we're saying we need some depth here, too. I mean, how much worse now does this make the lack of moves by Arsenal in January look?
Terrible.
It's like unbelievable.
But it's not just Arsenal fans, to be honest, and that's why everything is so questionable for Arsenal in the transfer window and their lack of spending. It wasn't just Arsenal fans. It was pundits all around England. It was any analyst that saw the situation at Arsenal. It was any football fan that said, maybe they should shore up their front line. I mean, they're missing a lot of important players. You see the list down on the right-hand side, none of which have really ultimately worked in that position. It feels like it's a stopgap. Kai Havertz was the best in that position, but I understand maybe an Alexander Isak was too much in a winter transfer window. Maybe Ollie Watkins was too much in a winter transfer window. Just go get another striker, anybody that can play that 9 position that maybe you can build towards the future, maybe not. It's a 6-month loan, you're in and you're out. But the wound is open. You don't even have a Band-Aid to cover the wound at this point. You're going to have to mix and match. Hopefully Saka comes back, but Saka's not going to play 9. Saka's going to play on the right-hand side. What are they doing?
Mike, where do they go from here?
Well, they go and they start getting their condolences ready for, at best, second place. They're not going to be in contention for the Premier League title because this is a massive, massive loss. You can criticize Kai Havertz, which Arsenal fans have done significantly, but you look at the attacking options that are there.
None of which are 9s.
No, but there is a young man in Ethan Nwaneri who I would put in there. Leandro Trossard does have the experience, so I think Mikel Arteta will probably go in there, but I love this kid, Nwaneri, and just let him run, let him have that false 9 creative expression, but it's not going to be enough to be anywhere close to close the gap.
Wing. He's much better on the wing, right?
You have Raheem Sterling
and you
who can play on the wing.
Saka there, but you have Saka also whenever it is that he comes back. This is not a good situation that Arsenal's in. It's worrying because if you really want to make that title push, let's just say Liverpool, best case scenario, Liverpool loses today. 6 points. Liverpool can drop a couple points here or there, but you have to be perfect.
It's time now for our Zillow new home search, because it could be perhaps a player that we haven't really seen with this Arsenal side. And here's a look at some of the potential attacking options that Arsenal could call up here. What do we think?
Diego Costa is having a caipirinha in Lagartos, Brazil. I don't know if the guy has any interest in playing in the Premier League. I mean, who knows?
Carnival in, do they have the Carnival in London?
So just as an asterisk, Max Dowman plays for the U18s. He's 15 years old.
Guys, this is how dire the situation is. These are some of the options,
that would be
I guess, that are out there. What do we
massive
think?
gamble.
Yeah. Tone?
Yeah, I'm going to say Diego Costa's out. That's I'm going to go.
This is how dire the situation is.
Ryan Kent, the one from Fenerbahce? The one that had the whole crocodile thing that were moving to Iran for Persepolis or whatever it is. Is that really who we're offering over? Did that move not get done?
Do they allow crocodiles in the UK?
I don't know.
This new home search produced one of those situations where you see something online, it's like, oh, is this all that's available in this area, in this school district? This is the best we've got? Woof. Got to start looking somewhere else.
You know, when you take over any youth team, who's ever played center forward before? Who's ever been a catcher? Or, who's ever done...
No, Tony, let's be real.
Go to this side.
Who's ever played goalie before?
Who's ever been a goalkeeper before? Okay, you're going. It's crazy to think they literally they got to go in their youth system to do it. That's how they did it in the old days. You went right into the youth team.
Oh, man.
Who would you go for, Mike?
I stand by Ethan Nwaneri. I know you bring a good point.
Right.
Ultimately, I think that's where it's going to end up being. because the kid's very talented, and he scored against, the goalie scored against Manchester City from the right, but he has played down the spine and through the middle, and naturally he's an attacking midfielder. So that false nine, that's who I would go with once Saka gets back. But this is panic stations if you're Mikel Arteta, because I said it before that the difference between Arsenal winning a Premier League title and not has always been a lack of a center forward. Title hopes are done with this injury. I just don't see it.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to surmount a 9-point gap or a 6-point gap or a 7-point gap, whatever it is. You need a deep squad. Look at Manchester City last season. They lost one of their more essential players in Kevin De Bruyne for a big portion of the season, and they took care of business. They had Julian Alvarez ready to go. There's depth. These squads are very big, and Arsenal have a lot of defenders. I think they've shored up their squad in the midfield and the defensive line. But the big question mark was there. The writing was on the wall.
Yeah. But we're talking about Arsenal competing in the Premier League, where they're right now 6 points behind Liverpool, still very much in the conversation, especially depending on what happens in the Merseyside derby. We haven't even touched on Champions League, another team that you can make a case for going and winning the whole thing, or at least you could have made that case. How much does that change now?
And I would imagine those kids that we saw on the full screen graphic there, I imagine they're registered. But you grab a free agent, you can't register them anymore for the Champions League. The deadline is done. So whoever you bring in that's not within your club setup won't be able to play in the Champions League. You got to make do with what you have, and it's going to be difficult. In modern football, with 5 subs and all of these big spending clubs, the reason a lot of them win is because they have so much depth. They're able to compete for 4 freaking trophies that are being played for because they have a deep enough squad. If somebody gets injured, somebody steps up. And it's not only that, it's players that are good enough that are sitting on the bench, that are coming in, getting seldom minutes when they could start in many clubs around the world.
Julian Alvarez went for buku kind of money to La Liga. I mean, it's like buku, like lots. I'm upset. I'm an Arsenal fan, okay? This is tough times. But, the only positive is that Martinelli and Saka look like they'll be coming back in March.
You're the Arsenal fan here. Who do you play as the number 9?
I think you just hold out until you can bring back Saka and Martinelli. I don't know if I would put Odegaard at the. I like Nwaneri, but that's still a gamble.
Saka is training, right?
Yeah,
he's training
and it's. I mean, it feels like it's going to have to be one area. I don't know how much he's played in that center forward false 9 position, because you're not going to have Saka play center forward when you. I don't know.
No, it wouldn't make any sense. Tony, please.
I'm gonna say Trossard or Sterling play as a false 9. Yeah. I was trying to think if Sterling ever played as a stopgap 9 for Pep. I couldn't pull it up, but those would be my 2 choices.
It's trying to get the emotion out of it, which is really difficult when it comes to Arsenal Football Club, especially given the dire straits that this puts them in. Bukayo Saka, realistically, is at best a month out. And looking at Champions League, you would have to survive that round of 16 match.
Are they better than Juve, PSV, Feyenoord, or Milan?
With this
without a 9?
No chance.
Let's just say it's going to be
no chances.
No chance with Milan?
Okay.
Arsenal against Milan? Who? This Arsenal side without a striker against Milan? No, I'm not saying Milan.
They're still really good defensively, though, this Arsenal side.
They are good, and that's been the base of their success over the last couple of seasons under Arteta. They've gotten really good defensively.
It's also where they've spent the most money.
PSV might beat Juve. I think they're better than PSV. If Juve keeps on climbing, and that's the more likely they're the favorites to go through, it's going to be tough. Milan are going to beat Feyenoord. That's probably the team that's going to be in the next round. So it's Milan or Juve, let's just say, worst case scenario. It's going to be one of Arsenal's. That's first round of 16 out of the gates without a 9. That's very difficult.
Hey, Thierry, want to start warming up?
Oh.
Can we make that work?
I'll take
Is that possible?
That's a good shout.